Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Peter J. Redding here, and talking about exploring coaching mastery. Today's adventure is going to be into how do I introduce myself as a professional coach. So let me make sure that I've got all my buttons pushed the proper way here, and I am live. Okay. So, introducing yourself as a coach. Let me do one more thing here. There we go. Last week we talked about what kind of coach are you, what kind of clients you serve. The second part now is how do you introduce yourself? So I was thinking about this. If the common way that most people introduce themselves is globally, and it drives me nuts. So let me get this off my chest right away. I'm a coach, and I will take you from where you are to where you want to go. Drives me crazy. I don't know if that's an Uber driver or a taxi driver or a friend that's giving you a ride from where you are to where you want to go. But it doesn't do anything for me in terms of, oh, you're a coach. I didn't know that. Or what kind of coach? So the topic for today is exploring how can I more effectively and professionally introduce myself as a professional coach and for those that I serve. So that's what we're going to be doing today. This is in a long series of the different stages of a coaching engagement. Stages 1, 2, and 3 we've already talked about. Those are recorded. I invite you to go back and listen to those. Filled with content, filled with good ideas. 4 highlighted, introducing yourself as a coach. And this is going to be important for building on in the next part of our series as far as coach-like conversations. You don't want to miss that. That's next week. We'll do a demonstration on that with a volunteer. Following week, we'll have Q&A, and we'll go in-depth more in terms of what your experience is with that. And then we're going to tie in how you introduce yourself today even with a sample session. And we'll talk much more deeply in a whole hour on a sample session in this series for episode number 7. Okay? So, yes, let people know that you are a coach. That's the first thing. In the early days of coaching, some people were frankly ashamed of saying, "Yeah, I'm a coach." Because it wasn't considered as a profession. It wasn't a professional person that went into coaching. As it turns out, I would say that the first, 30, 40, 50,000 people that became professional coaches were in fact professionals and had been in a professional career before they came into coaching. Many of us were in our 30s and 40s. We had spent 10, 15, 20, 25 years as a professional blank, professional lawyer, a professional doctor, a professional executive, a professional educator, and a professional clinical therapist. Many therapists came into coaching early on and still do. But we all understood that a profession has to be ethical. And at the stage when coaching began 25, 26 years ago, we didn't have a code of ethics. And we talked about that in series number 3. So how do we introduce ourselves now as a professional? Well, first of all, yes, I am a professional coach. So we're going to explore today what type of a coach am I and what type of coach can I claim to be. Again, from an ethical standpoint. Can I call myself a certified coach? Can I call myself a professional coach? Can I call myself a student coach? And so on. We'll explore that. And I hope that this is highly interactive. because I'm going to have you do some exercises, ask some questions, share either in the chat box or in the out loud. Okay. So first of all, what type of coach? If you go to LinkedIn, you go to Facebook. There's so many people that I'm a blank coach, and the blank can be filled in with almost anything in the world. I saw one person one time say, "I'm a foot coach," or "I'm a podiatrist coach." I was like, "Really? What's that?" The common ones that I hear and that I see is I am a career coach, I am an executive coach, I am a business development coach, I am a personal life coach, I am a children's coach, teenagers coach, mid-career coach, entrepreneur coach, retirement coach, and so on. So you can, and there's no limitation on the kind of title that you title yourself as a coach. I don't know of any laws anywhere in the world that says you can't claim to be some blank coach. Now, what I do caution you, however, on is be ethical, claim what you are, and don't claim what you are not. So to become a certified coach, you have to have a body of a professional body in the world. The leading two that I'm aware of is the International Coaching Federation, ICF, that's based out of the U.S., but has more members outside of North America than it does in North America. So it truly is international. And I've trained coaches from all over the world, from Russia to India to Australia to Europe to Scandinavia and everywhere in between. Yeah. So that's one major professional body. The other one is the EMCC, the European Mentoring and Coaching Council. They are also have a code of ethics. And if you are not certified by them or a professional coach training company, then don't claim to be a certified coach, because you're not. You may be a student coach, and you can claim that. You can call yourself a professional coach. And again, have a code of ethics. Have a code of ethics that you abide by, that you understand, that you can describe to prospective clients or prospective sponsors that are looking for a professional coach. And if you don't have a code of ethics and you haven't been certified, then don't claim that. But I know that many of you that are here, I've personally trained, and many others that are being attracted to these series to become a professional coach. So let's look at the type of coach and the kind of questioning that takes place. So in a casual conversation, whether it's through social media or in person, so what do you do for a living, right? You meet somebody that you haven't met before. What do you do? How do you make a living? Very common question. And how do you answer this? All right, so I'm just going to have you type into the chat box right now for those of you that are on the Inner Circle Zoom here that's live. And for those of you that are on Facebook, there's about a 20-second delay, so type that into the chat box, and we'll have my able assistant here, Cello, copy-paste into the chat box for me to read. How do you answer that question? What do you do for a living? All right, so I'll give you a few seconds to do that. I am an automation facilitator. Charles, I just love you. You are a automation facilitator. Okay. I am a professional life transition and life purpose coach. Okay, very nice. See if there's any others that want to weigh in. I am a life purpose coach. Very nice from Rashna. Shrupa says life and leadership coach specialized in coaching senior faculty. Oh, very nice. Love that one. Another one from Garish is I am a certified coach working with professionals in transition. Excellent. Excellent. Shushi is saying I'm a life and leadership coach working with entrepreneurs. Very nice. So you're starting to get a feel for these are coaches that have been trained. These are coaches that understand their client, their affinity group, their avatar, their ideal client. You call it whatever you want. Their brand, right? But we're going to go deeper than this. We're going to go deeper than this by intention. So let me come back to this slide. Now, I'm going to encourage you to ask them a question first. So, again, what do you do for a living? What question could you ask before you answer that question? What question could you ask? Coaches are acquisitive. Coaches have one of their main tools is asking questions. So what question could you ask? And type it, if you're willing, type it in the chat box. That'll share it with the community. If you don't want to share it in the chat box, that's fine. Just write it down. But what question could you ask that individual that just asks you, what do you do for a living? Ask them back, what do you do for a living? Yeah, Sanji, that's very direct and right on point. So I'd love to share with you what I do for a living, but I'm very curious about what do you do for a living, okay? Because, I'll tell you the because in a second. Let me get a couple more in terms of sharing here. Let me just scroll this down. What are you most curious about what I do? Okay. So, what makes you ask? We're trying to open up who am I speaking to in front of me? And it's not to be clandestine or tricky or anything like that. It's just I'm really curious about, what brought you here today, to this event, or do we have a common person that we know, or I'm being very curious about who you are and what you want to do, right? Now, I'll give you some other hints here. What I like to find out about the client is what's their profession? Are they an entrepreneur? Are they an educator? Are they a mom? Are they an author? Are they a healthcare worker? Whatever they might be. The other thing that I will ask them, and again in a friendly manner, and not this is not an inquisition. Okay, I need 6 questions first answered before I tell you anything about me. That's not the attitude, obviously, the energy you want to bring into it. But you want to show your curiosity of, I'm really curious about what you do, and what's your greatest aspiration right now? What are you most interested in right now? If there's one thing that you could have within a year's time, what would it be? And they may come back with peace of mind. They may come back with, I need to get a job. I want to start a family. I want to solidify my position in my current workplace. I want to learn a second language, or a fourth language, or a fifth language, as the case may be, in the next year. Wow. Okay. So now I have lots of information about my client or prospective client. So now And let me come back to my slides. Now I can customize my answer to what is important to this prospective client, coaching client, and still be in the lane of who I like to coach, which we talked about last week. So personally, I like to work with world-changing visionaries. So if they are not a world-changing visionary, that is also an important thing for me to understand. And I might be able to refer them to another coach, because I literally have trained thousands of coaches, and I could refer them quite easily to, a coach that I trained in India, or I trained in Canada, or I trained in Australia, or I trained someplace else in the world. To customize it, what type of coach are you? Who do you support? Who do you like to support in your affinity group that we talked about again last week? And what do you support them with? How do you support them? How do you go about supporting them in terms of what they want to accomplish? Leading us to, what is their benefit that they might expect from coaching with me? Okay? So, I'm going to give you an opportunity now to answer those 4 questions for your type of client that you want to work with. And if one of you that are in the Zoom room are willing to volunteer to audibly go through this with me, you and I can banter about how we could do this. Maybe do a little role play even, but a real role play that's true to you and true to your coaching type of client that you want to work with. Okay, and I'll act as the potential prospective client. So, Cello, do we have a volunteer that's got their hand raised electronically or any other way? Sanjeev's guy says, I can. Let me. Pick me. Sanjeev, can you unmute yourself?
Hi, Peter.
Sanjeev, great to hear your voice again, man.
Hey, same here. I've been just craving to hear you. I mean, so I was out of action for some time, but thank you for continuing and holding the flag, and I loved it. Thank you very
Fan-
much.
Fantastic. So, what type of coach are you, Sanjeev? What kind of people do you like to coach?
Yeah, I'm an executive coach who likes to work for the people who are in transition to CXO positions,
Okay.
or they have newly joined as a CXO position and they have to bring their executive presence felt in the organization.
All right.
Other dimension is the people who have been high potential and somehow they got stuck in the career.
Mm.
So I do work with them as well.
Okay. Fantastic. And so, what type of support would they get by working with you? Could you list off 2 or 3 advantages of things or benefits that they would get by working with you as their coach?
The advantage for me to be in the space is because I have gone through this journey myself.
Uh huh.
I come with that kind of experience. So I am in a position to, work with the people at the heart to heart level. I can understand and been empathize with them, how what they're going through.
Good.
The advantage, what they get is to asking those questions and connecting to their strength. Oh,
I think we just lost Sanjeev. Might have been a here's what I heard him say though, in terms of I have empathy and compassion and I understand their situation because I've lived through that. Okay, even though he's not going to give advice as a professional coach, he is going to ask really pertinent questions to support them to navigate that part of the journey for themselves, right? And create a space for them to figure it out. So, Do we have another volunteer that could weigh in terms of what type of coach are you and who do you support and what would they anticipate receiving in the way of your coaching support? Who else? You can raise your hand, or I'm not on. I don't have gallery view on, so Cello, if you could help me.
No one's volunteering yet, Peter.
Okay. Oh, don't be shy. I can try it. Shripa,
Hello. Hi, Peter.
how are you?
I'm good. I'm good. Great.
Your voice is coming through nice and clear and cheery. I appreciate that. So I'll ask you the
Thank you so
same.
much. Sir.
I'll ask you
Yes.
the same kind of questions. What kind of client do you like to work with?
Um, I like to work with faculty who are in the mid-level or in the senior position. And education doesn't have too much of coaching support. So that's where I would actually like to work.
Okay, so faculty and the faculty from any particular level of education. Is it high school? Is it university? Is it
Universities.
at uni-
Universities only. Yes.
university only? Okay, excellent. And I like the specificity of that a lot. Universities, just for everybody else that's listening in here, universities are bringing coaching in big time. Big time. Not only for their students, but like Sharif is talking about, is to support their faculty in terms of their faculty development.
Yes.
And even some universities are bringing in the International Coaching Federation's accredited coach specific training to their some of their programs within their own curricula. So fantastic. We'll come back to you in a second, Sanjeev. I see that you're back, but we're in the middle of Sharipi's talking about it. So that's the kind of coach, kind of client that you're working with. What kind of support would they expect from you, or benefit that would they get from coaching with you?
Okay. Universities have a very flat structure. As far as their career movement is concerned, it's pretty flat. They become assistant professors, associate professors, and professors, and they keep moving a little up and down in that. Their work is also pretty monotonous in terms of teaching and research. A little bit of consulting, maybe, but opportunities are not much in India. So, what I would like to support them in is to have a better clarity, a vision in that particular frame of work that they are doing, and not feel the mundanity of the work that they have. So, after like 10 years, it's like, oh my God, I have to do this for the next 20, 30. So, there's going to be more happiness in the work that they do.
Yeah, the world needs more happiness, especially at that level. Yeah. So you're very specific. Congratulations. Thank you very much for that.
Thank you. Thank you.
You betcha. I want to come back to Sanjeev to establish what there was a unexpected power trip thing. Yeah, got it. So the last question I think I was asking you, Sanjeev, was what would the benefit be from these executives or high potentials that they could maybe anticipate by working with you?
Yeah, so the approach is very simple. As approach is all with the questions, deep-rooted questions, and the whole idea is to really go and start the sessions with the foundation session, which is more about understanding what are their, strength and what are the values they have as an individual and what they are built on their life, what belief systems, and if just finding what are the strong sides of them, what are the unique talents they have been gifted with. Once we have all these things, and aligning to their own life purpose, which they have to define. And all these things, when I use it for them to address their current challenges, they come up with their own solutions. And this is very unique to them. It's not my solution, it's their own. Only thing what I do as a coach is to ask the right questions, which takes them to the deeper level or to explore sometimes to really work hard on themselves to really get to the place where they have never been to, where the actually answer lies. And when they get it, they get charged up because they know this is it for them, and that's what they do it. And believe me, Peter, I'm not exaggerating. I have seen some wonderful magics happening. I also couldn't believe they did it, but they did it. And that's what the journey is. So I keep writing now. Some of my colleagues are here. I keep writing about some of these magics on LinkedIn. And I love that because people are really loving it. And all these things, stories are true.
Brilliant, brilliant, brilliant. So, spoken like a true professional, and I'm proud to have you be one of my students and graduates and certified graduates. Great job.
Thanks,
So,
Peter. I love to be your pedigree.
so to kind of frame that for the rest of you that have not been my student or haven't gone through certification, what Sanjeev speaks to so powerfully is it's not what I give them in the way of advice. It's what I give them in the way of a space to do their own work, answer their own questions, figure out who they are deep down within themselves, and then to begin to live in congruency or in alignment with that. And that, by almost by definition, ignites them. It lights them up. They become passionate again. That they may have lost over the last 10, 15, 20 years of a career. And basically, I've got my day job and I'm doing my job. Thank you very much. I get paid for it. That supports my family, and it stops there. There's little or no internal fulfillment or satisfaction that might come from that. By reconnecting them to who they really are, reignites that individual, that human being, the awesomeness within them that they have probably forgotten about. And then the coach can work with them. So now, with that, okay, so this is all the backdrop of introducing myself back to the very first time that I might meet somebody that may or may not be my ideal client, by the way. They may or may not. And it's important to know it either way. So, by knowing this and asking these kinds of questions of yourself, let's move on to filling in the simplest and the starting point of how to introduce yourself. So, rather than I'm a coach that works with you to take you where you are, from where you are now to where you want to go. If you have that in your website copy, please go back and change it today. It's a personal favor to me. Because it doesn't say anything. And it's still, again, yeah, anyhow, you get it. So with these questions, now I can put this in a very simple statement in introducing myself. I am a blank coach who works with blank kind of client who want blank. What's their aspiration? What's their goal? What's their challenge? What are they trying to overcome? Any of those kinds of things would fit into the third line here. Who want what? I want to let go of the mundaneness of my faculty position that I've been doing now for the last 13 years. In order to what? In order to go to, again, and define the go-to place, not just to go to where you want to go, because that's, again, too generic. In order to recapture the spark, in order to recapture the excitement of seeing new students become enlightened or engaged in their passion, okay, was what a faculty member might say, or, again, whatever they do say. So I want you to craft an I am statement. I am a blank coach. If you're not certified, then don't call yourself a certified coach, but describe it somehow that it leads to, for me, I'll give you an example. Here, I'll go through my example. I am a world-changing visionary coach who works with visionaries who want to realize, make true their vision for making the world a better place, in order to change the direction of the world's treatment of their fellow man. Okay, because there's always a social agenda for the world-changing visionaries that I work with. So that could be my introduction. Now, if they're not a world-changing visionary, then they're not attracted to me as a coach, even though I might be able to coach them as an entrepreneur, because I've done that in the past, and I am one. If they're an executive, again, been there, done that. But I choose to work now with world-changing visionaries. They may also be an executive, a CEO of a major company that is doing social good. But this is as important to attract those that I want to work with, as well as not attract those other 7.4 billion people to my coaching practice. Okay? So write this out for yourself. I am a blank coach who works with blank kind of client who want blank in order to blank. And when you're done with that, I'd love to have you share some ideas to inform and instruct others on the call, or those that are listening to this video at some future time. And again, you can put those in the Facebook chat box or into the Zoom chat box. And I'm not seeing any coming through here. Cello, do you see anybody that's raising their hand?
None yet,
Charles,
Peter.
Charles, you got a big long one that you described before I gave you this little formula. Could you put this in that little format, Charles? Would you be willing to do that just verbally? If you could unmute yourself, then we can hear you.
I wish you'd quit asking questions. I'm trying to do the exercise.
Okay, I know.
Here's how I've started that. I don't describe myself as a coach, although I've been a trainer of success coaches, all GMR companies. I'm describing myself as I am a personal and community empowerment specialist who works with individuals, organizations, and communities that desire to realize more of their potential. In order to help individuals grow and achieve their objectives, to help nonprofits increase their levels of efficiency and effectiveness, to help businesses increase their productivity and profitability, and help communities engage their residents more fully, developing a shared vision and accomplishing their ultimate potential. First draft.
Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. So now I know who you are, I know who you work with, I know why you work with them, and I know what they might expect by working with you.
Positively brilliant.
Absolutely, positively brilliant. What can I say? As you are.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
For your leadership and mentorship. This has been a valuable free $10,000 exercise in optimization. We'll talk later.
Fantastic. Is Naomi, would you be willing to volunteer?
Hi, yeah, that's a lot easier than typing.
Yeah, go ahead.
I am a professional life transition and life purpose coach who specializes in working with women in their 5th and 6th decades of life who want to move through the fear and uncertainty that's holding them stuck in order to unleash their brilliance and chart their next chapter.
Wow. I love that
How's
one.
that?
Could you, yeah, that's stunning. So what I get from that, just listening to it for the first time here, is I work with women that are in their 40s and 50s or 50s and 60s. You
50s
said
and 60s, yeah.
50s and 60s, who want to basically figure out what they want to do with the rest of their life. I mean,
Yeah.
that's kind of bottom line of what I heard.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Now, if I'm a woman in their 50s or 60s, I immediately have a gravitational pull to Naomi, going, "Oh my God, she's the one I've been waiting for." She understands the dilemma that individuals have that are women that are in that age group, and she can support me to recharge my life, to redirect, to let go of whatever I need to let go of, and whatever. But in that one statement, and it probably took Naomi what, maybe 60 seconds to say that, but it is filled with the specificity of the kind of people she likes to work with. There is an instant credibility to that because she has said that's who I attract, that's who I work with. And if I'm not a woman and I'm not in my 50s and 60s, then I'm not attracted to Naomi. And that is as beneficial as being attracted because, again, assume that 500,000 people see this on a social media post. All right? Do you want 500,000 people to call you?
No.
The answer would be no. I don't have time. Thank you very much. I also have a life to live. But what if there was 20 people in there that it just went bing, and they would be your ideal client. They contact you, they call you, they message you back. Wow. Can we have a chat to learn more about this?
And Peter, I mean, I've been recrafting this since 2016, right? Since
Yeah.
the beginning of training, and have been, it's been a real journey for me. So my clients have taught me what kind of coach I am and what kind of coach I want to be. But I've also learned to really add in, and I work with women who know that I don't need to tell you what to do or how to do it. And so I feel like I really had to differentiate that because I was clear about it, but still getting clients who ask me for advice.
Yeah.
So I feel like, let me put that up front.
Yep. Yeah, that's a great point. I appreciate you bringing that in because, again, most people are not real clear about what coaching is or does, or they may have had someone that called themselves a coach that was really a mentor or an advice giver or a best friend, but they weren't a professional coach. So I like the fact that you put that in right up front. It's like I understand this territory. But I'm not going to give you advice or my strategies for how to do this or negotiate this part of the journey. But I can support you to figure it out for yourself. And that's what I'm here for. So thank you, Naomi. Well done. Roshna, I see that you have one typed in here. Do you want to read it out loud for us?
Yes. Hi, Peter.
Hi, Roshna.
So I've put down, and I've been working on this as well since 2019, and it's still work in progress, Peter, but here's what I put down today.
Okay.
I am a life purpose coach who works with women in their 40s who want to discover their strengths and their purpose in order to help them live more intentionally and in alignment to who they are.
Wow.
And I think, like Naomi said right now, when I do introduce myself to a potential client, I, again, upfront let them know that there is going to be no advice giving, no strategies from my end. It is about honoring where they are, honoring their journey, honoring what they already know and do well, and then just helping them by raising their sense of awareness about themselves.
Excellent. And that goes into the professional coaching. That for those of you that are confused about this or still don't know, the code of ethics that the International Coaching Federation has published and recently updated for probably the fourth or fifth time in the last 20 years has said we don't give advice. No, we can make observations, but we don't give advice. The power of coaching, the reason it has become so popular worldwide, is through the effectiveness of developing the person behind the task, behind the role, behind the position. And you cannot develop that person if you keep telling them what to do. You just can't. Yeah, all you do is growing dependency or codependency between you and the client. And they've had a lifetime of that. And it does not develop people. So, being upfront, as Naomi's talking about now and Roshan's talking about, is, and I don't give you advice. I don't give you my strategies. I've gone through it myself. I have enormous compassion for you that is going through it, and I will hold a safe space for you to figure it out for yourself. And I know that you can. Okay. So thank you for that. There's another one here from. Let me see who this one's from. This, is this Catherine? Who's, Catherine? Yeah, Catherine. Could you read yours out for us, please?
Sorry, Peter. Good morning, everyone.
Hi, Catherine.
I am not yet, but I will be. PCLC who works with women. Yay! Women who are or were victims of betrayal, trauma, and domestic abuse who want to grow in their healing in order to empower them to reclaim their lives in strength, safety, and peace.
Wow. God bless you. Yeah.
Amen.
That's amen, sister. And thank you for doing that work. So again, for those of you that are listening in on this, there's specificity of the lane that I work in, the kind of group that I have affinity for, that can benefit from being in a space that is not going to judge them. And again, not give them advice. So let me go one step further here. How are we doing? We're doing fantastic on time. So this is very, very good. I'm going to open it up to questions here in a moment. But I want to add one additional part to this process that we're in. Okay, so you go through your introduction. I am a blank coach who works with blank kind of client who want blank in order to blank. So I'm a blankety blank coach. And I'd like to offer you my blank session. We're going to talk specifically about sample sessions 3 weeks from now. After we do some role plays and not role plays, but some demonstrations on a coach-like conversation. What does it sound like to not give advice, basically? And after that, we're going to be talking specifically about how the sample session works into the evolution of a coaching engagement, or the pre-engagement, as it might be. So here's my hint on this one, is name your sample session. Name it. And name it with that includes a benefit that your prospective client is most likely looking for. So if my client is a world-changing visionary, then here, I'll give you my example again, and I'd like to offer you my world-changing vision realized session. Your vision realized session. Now, if they're at all interested in realizing, bringing to fruition, executing on their vision of how the world could be a better place, then they're going to go, well, yeah, basically. I would love to have a session like that. And it's complimentary. I'm not going to charge you for it. And it will be a session that we can figure out if you and I are compatible, have the chemistry, that you might you feel safe enough to do all that. Again, we'll get into the details of how to set up a sample session, what's inside the sample session 3 weeks from now. But at this stage of introduction, do not do a generic, and I'd like to offer you a free sample session, because that's like Greek. What's a sample session? Does it apply to me? Will I get benefit out of that? I don't know. It's too obtuse. So name your sample session. Have it be something clever that would appeal to your age group, and that might include a benefit. So for those of you that have shared verbally with me or in the chat box, what would be the name of your sample session? So let me go back to, I think Sanjeev. Let me go back to Sanjeev. Sanjeev, what would be the name of your sample session? You can do it verbally.
Yeah, so this is about the exploratory session to see if coaching works for you.
Right.
That's all.
Yep. And so what would be the name of the sample session for you? For the, let's say it's a high potential that you're talking to right now that got stuck.
Actually, I have not thought of any to create right now.
Okay, well, I'll give you some time to think about it as I go to Charles. Charles, what would be the name of your sample session in 3 words or less?
Well, how about 4 on my t-shirt? Solving life's ultimate success puzzles. Which puzzle pieces are most important to you? Because that leads into purpose, success, destiny, finances, freedom, health, well-being.
Okay, you've just hit your word limit, Charles. That's more than 4, but I get it. So give me the t-shirt again.
Solving life's success puzzles. What puzzle pieces are most valuable to you leads into this whole suite of resources that you've inspired me to help co-create. Shut up, stop laughing, beautiful laugh.
So the ultimate destiny realized session. Okay, thank you, Charles. You're beautiful. I love you for the work that you're doing and making the world a better place every day that you're here.
Thank you.
Who else did we go to? Sanjeev, what would be the name of your sample session? No, they just came. Hold on. No, let me go to Catherine. Catherine, what would be the name of your sample session?
Well, I think that it's important for these ladies to be ready to get unstuck. So I think I'd call mine post-traumatic growth assessment, or readiness assessment, I should say.
Okay, so it wouldn't necessarily be an assessment, but it would be a session that you could lead them through and have the wheel that we have in a sample session. You could actually use that as your assessment. Again, which we'll talk more about that 3 weeks from now. But so, I'd like to offer you my Catherine.
Yeah.
What would it say it again? My.
Post-traumatic growth readiness, maybe. I'm not sure. I think I might need some help thinking that through, because we do want to sort of see if they're ready to start taking these steps forward, right? So would we call it a readiness, or?
I would say, let's say, okay, so these are women in their 40s, you said, right?
Well, these would be women of any age coming out of, betrayal, trauma, and domestic abuse.
Okay. So, converting past trauma to tomorrow's success session, or tomorrow's peace of mind session.
Excellent.
Or moving from stress to comfortable in my own body session.
Nice.
Or safe in my own body session.
Excellent. I like it.
If you think about the things that are their challenges, whatever your group might be, and every group has challenges. I don't care if they're millionaires or multi-billionaires, they have challenges, right?
Sure.
And so, what's the aspiration then? How do you? They're going from again. This is really making specific where they are to where they want to go. So where they are is they're miserable, or they're confused, or they're desperately desire to move on. To what? To peace
So
of mind.
broken to wholeness.
Oh, bingo! Ding, 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 ding.
There we
Yes,
go. Yay! Thank you.
you win the prize of the day. Yeah, and I'd like to offer you my, say it again, my
Broken to wholeness,
session.
or broken to whole, maybe.
Yeah. Wow.
Thank you. Thanks, Peter.
Great piece of work. Great piece of work. So what's the benefit of that, Catherine, to you and to the prospective client? Let's just talk a little bit about that for a minute.
Well, none of us grow until we're ready, right? We need
Amen
to
to that.
have a determination that life, whether it's relationships, career, who we are as a person, where we are is not comfortable and it needs to change. But that change can't happen until we're ready to make it happen, which means we have to be determined to make it happen.
Exactly.
So we want to help these women to see that, yes, you're broken, you feel irreparably so, but you can make positive choices for yourself and become whole again. Or discover the truth that you've always been whole, you've only felt broken, is really the deeper truth there.
Right. It's a rediscovery of the truth.
Yeah.
You never were broken, but yeah, because I've lived that. I can support you to recapture that sense of wholeness.
Yes. Oh, I like that, Peter.
So, from a introducing myself as a professional coach, Catherine now has identified exactly who she wants to work with, and has invited people that she might be talking to that are ready to do that work. Right? I want to really underline Catherine's concept around that. Is there readiness? And by offering them a sample session, kind of a low impact. I'm not. You don't have to hire me at the end of it. You can if you want, and that's what I do. But this is like kick the tires, drive the car around the block, see if it fits, if there's a good chemistry between you and the client. And she's going to get more yeses from the right people that she wants to work with by identifying that particular kind of sample session. That's really what we're after here. A great example of that, Catherine. Thanks for playing.
Thank you.
Sanjeev, I'm going to come back to you, and then I also want to go to Naomi again. So you figured out how you want to articulate your offer of a sample session? It would be.
Yes, Peter. I have got two choices. I don't know which one works better. But
Okay.
first is your career success session, because
say it again. Your career session?
Career success session.
Your career success session. Perfect. I like that one.
The second one is success rediscovery.
Ooh. There's a sense of mystery to that one. I like that one. It's got a little
mystery.
Yeah, it's mystical. It's a wonderment. It's like, ooh, is that even possible anymore at my age? Kind of flavor to it.
Yeah, because I want to also convey in a subtle way about core selfie or the core self, which anyway I'm going to use it for them. So that is what the rediscovery is coming from.
Beautiful.
And the success is all about what they want, actually.
Yeah. No, that's perfect. Thank you for that. Let's go back to Naomi. Naomi, you are working with women in their 50s and 60s.
Oh, yep.
Okay. Yep. So what kind of a session would you offer them?
From uncertainty, no. So I sometimes say, I like to offer you my life transition with clarity session.
Ooh. Say that again. Let me let that sink in.
Your life transition with clarity session.
Love that.
sometimes life transition with purpose session,
Okay.
depending on what I learn.
Yep.
Sometimes from stuck to actions
No,
session.
another good one.
Starting my life transition session.
Okay. All good. All good. Here's the acid test for all of you. All right. If you can imagine 100 of your ideal clients in a room, virtual or otherwise, and you would say the kind of session that you just named for Charles, for Naomi, for Sanjeev, for Catherine, and you would say, how many would this apply to, or how many does this resonate with? And anticipate that 95% of the people would raise their hand. 95% out of your affinity group of 100. Now you know you have a great sample session name. So I'm going to repeat that again. I want you to imagine your group, your affinity group, 100 of them at random, are in the same room at the same time. You give them a little survey or you have them raise their hand. And you say, and I'd like to offer you a moving from uncertainty to certainty in your professional career session. Okay, if that's the name of your sample session. And 95 out of the 100 people raise their hands, say, yep, I could relate to that. That would be of interest to me. Or that is something that I'm either currently dealing with or I've had just recent, it's coming up for me and I need to maybe get more clarity around. That would be the acid test in your mind of this is a good sample session name. Okay, so another hint from the master. We've got a couple of minutes here. Any other burning questions before we wrap up today's session? Any burning questions from any of you? We've got time for maybe one or two questions. And let me scroll to the bottom of my own chat box here and see if there's any. Well, thank you for giving us so many thoughts. Thank you. You're most welcome, Garish. Thank you for that. I'm going to stream some of these thoughts with pride. Thank you. And steal them, plagiarize them liberally. Yes, please. I'm not seeing any other questions, any other hands raised, Cello. I'm not seeing that. So we're going to bring this to a close. I want to thank you for your focus, your attention. I'm going to, let me go to the next slide here if I can get to that real quick. Yeah. So next week, same time, same station, number 5 in our series of 12 of the series of a coaching engagement. Coach for Life's a coach-like conversation demo. So I'm going to need a couple of volunteers for this. If you want to volunteer, make sure that you get the Zoom link from Cello at support@coachforlife.com. And we'll actually demonstrate this. This is like a 5, maybe a 10-minute at most conversation that you can have with the people that you love, that are around you, colleagues at work. It's not professional coaching, but it is moving towards a mindset of professional coaching. That's critically important to start coaching, is to start getting the mindset of asking questions and not giving advice. So it's a great exercise. I've been using this now for about the last 2 years with great success for people that are coming into our coach training 2-3 weeks ahead of time, and they get into this modality of, oh, I'm a coach now, not a parent, or I'm a coach now, not an executive, or I'm a coach now, not an expert in the world of their world. So with that, I will thank all of you, especially those that have volunteered. I really appreciate all of you deeply. Have a great week. Stay safe. God bless. Namaste.